Now listen to me. This is what we'll do. Is what James said on Friday afternoon, the last instalment I read last week of James and the Giant Peach, written by Roald Dahl and read for you by me. Yeah. Hello and welcome back. It's Monday evening, afternoon, whatever you prefer. I'm going to carry on with our bedtime stories, or just our story if you don't listen to them when you go to bed. Yeah, so I hope you're well and I hope your weekend was amazing. Hope you're enjoying the nice weather if you can. Get out for your allotted walk or exercise or whatever. Anyway, right. Well, let's just carry on, shall we? So where did we get up to, as I just said? Listen to me. This is what we'll do. James was just explaining his plan to everyone about how they're going to get the peach out of the water because there's sharks bashing the side of the peach and they're going to drown. So, let's carry on and find out what happens today. 4 chapters today. Let's dive straight in then. Right, chapter 21. Why, it's absolutely brilliant, cried the old green grasshopper when James had explained his plan. The boy's a genius, the centipede announced. Now I can keep my boots on after all. Oh, I shall be pecked to death, wailed the poor earthworm. Of course you won't. I will. I know I will. And I won't even be able to see them coming at me because I've got no eyes. James went over and put an arm gently round the earthworm's shoulders. I won't let them touch you, he said. I promise I won't. But we've got to hurry. Look down there. Look? What do you mean, look? I can't look. That wasn't in the story, but, I wanted to add it myself. There he is, look. Look at his cute little sunny hat. Ha ha. There were more sharks than ever around the beach. The water was boiling with them. There must have been 90 or 100 at least. And to the travellers up on the top, it certainly seemed as though the peach were sinking lower and lower into the water. Action stations, James shouted. Jump to it, there's not a moment to lose. He was the captain now, and everybody knew it. They would do whatever he told them. All hands below deck, except Earthworm, he ordered. Yes, yes, they said eagerly, and they scuttled into the tunnel entrance. Come on, let's hurry. And you, Centipede, James shouted. Hop downstairs and get that silkworm to work at once. Tell her to spin as she's never spun before. Our lives depend on it. And the same applies to you, Miss Spider. Hurry on down. Start spinning. Chapter 22. That was short, wasn't it? Right. In a few minutes, everything was ready. It was very quiet now on the top of the peach. There was nobody in sight. Nobody except the poor earthworm. One half of the earthworm, looking like a great, thick, juicy pink sausage, lay innocently in the sun for all the seagulls to see. The other half of him was dangling down the tunnel. James was crouching close beside the earthworm in the tunnel entrance, just below the surface, waiting for the first seagull. He had a loop of silk string in his hands. The old green grasshopper and the ladybird were further down the tunnel, holding on to the earthworm's tail, ready to pull him quickly in, out of danger, as soon as James gave the word. And far below, in the great stone of the peach, the glowworm was lighting up the room so that the 2 spinners, the silkworm and Miss Spider, could see what they were doing. Oh, I haven't got an accent for the silkworm. Never mind. The centipede was down there too. Maybe you guys could say an accent if you want, if the silkworm's got any words in this story. I don't think she has many. If you're listening, put some in the comments and maybe I'll see what I can do. The centipede was down there too, exhorting them both frantically to greater efforts, and every now and again James could hear his voice coming up faintly from the depths, shouting, Spin! Silkworm, spin! You great fat lazy brute! Faster! Faster, we'll throw you to sharks! That's very kind, isn't it? Here comes the first seagull, whispered James. Keep still now, earthworm, keep still. The rest of you, get ready to pull. Please don't let it spike me, begged the earthworm. I won't, shh. Out of the corner of one eye, James watched the seagull as it came swooping down towards the earthworm, and then suddenly it was so close that he could see its small black eyes and its curved beak. And the beak was open, ready to grab a nice piece of flesh out of the earthworm's back. Pull! Pull! Shouted James. The old green grasshopper and the ladybird gave the earthworm's tail an enormous tug. And like magic, the earthworm disappeared into the tunnel. At the same time, up went James's hand, and the seagull flew right into the loop of silk that he was holding out. The loop, which had been cleverly made, tightened just the right amount, but not too much, around its neck, and the seagull was captured. "Hooray!" shouted the old green grasshopper, peering out of the tunnel. "Well done, James!" Up flew the seagull, with James paying out the silk string as it went. Paying it out. There you go. He gave it about 50 yards and then tied the string to the stem of the peach. Ooh, there's a picture. There's James. And there's our feathery friend. "Next one," he shouted, jumping back into the tunnel. "Up you get again, earthworm. Bring up some more silk, centipede." "Oh, I don't like this at all," wailed the earthworm. "It only just missed me. I even felt the wind on my back as it went swishing past." "Shh," whispered James. "Keep still. Here comes another one." So they did it again, and again, and again, and again. And the seagulls kept coming, and James caught them, one after the other, and tethered them all to the peach stem. You'd think they'd cotton on, wouldn't you? Oh. 100 seagulls! He shouted, wiping the sweat from his face. "Keep going!" they cried. "Keep going, James!" 200 seagulls! 300 seagulls! 400 seagulls! The sharks, as though sensing that they were in danger of losing their prey, were hurling themselves at the peach more furiously than ever, and the peach was sinking lower and lower still in the water. 500 seagulls! James shouted. "Hey, Silkworm says she's running out of silk!" yelled the centipede from below. "She says she can't keep it up much longer, nor can Miss Spider." "Tell them they've got to," James answered. "They can't stop now." "We're lifting," somebody shouted. "No, we're not." "I felt it." "Put on another seagull, quick." Who's saying this? "Quiet, everybody, quiet. Here's one coming now." This was the 501st seagull, and the moment that James caught it and tethered it to the stem with all the others, the whole enormous peach suddenly started rising up slowly out of the water. "Look out! Here we go! Hold on, boys!" But then it stopped, and there it hung. It hovered and swayed, but it went no higher. The bottom of it was just touching the water. It was like a delicately balanced scale that needed only the tiniest push to tip it one way or the other. "One more will do it," shouted the old green grasshopper, looking out of the tunnel. "We're almost there." And now came the big moment. Quickly, the 502nd seagull was caught and harnessed to the peach stem. And then suddenly, but slowly, majestically, like some fabulous golden balloon, with all the seagulls straining at the strings above, ... the giant peach rose up, dripping out of the water, and began climbing towards the heavens. Chapter 23. In a flash, everybody was up on top. "Oh, isn't it beautiful?" they cried. "What a marvellous feeling!" "Goodbye, sharks!" "Oh boy, this is the way to travel high!" Miss Spider, who was literally squealing with excitement, grabbed the centipede by the waist, and the two of them started dancing round and round the peach stem together. The earthworm stood up on his tail and did a sort of ring. Trying to reconnect. Poor wireless connection. Old green grasshopper kept hopping higher and higher into the air. The ladybird rushed over and shook James warmly by the hand. Ladybirds can fly. Anyway, the glowworm, who was at the best of times a very shy and silent creature, sat glowing with pleasure near the tunnel entrance. Even the silkworm, looking white and thin and completely exhausted, came creeping out of the tunnel to watch this miraculous ascent. Up and up they went, and soon they were as high as the top of a church steeple above the ocean. "I'm a bit worried about the peach," James said to the others, as soon as all the dancing and the shouting had stopped. "I wonder how much damage those sharks had done to it underneath. It's quite impossible to tell from up here." "Why don't I go over the side and make an inspection?" Miss Spider said. "It'll be no trouble at all, I assure you." And without waiting for an answer, she quickly produced a length of silk thread and attached the end of it to the peach stem. "I'll be back in a jiffy," she said, and then she walked calmly over the edge of the peach and jumped off. paying out the thread behind her as she fell. Wow, what a legend. Here we go, there's a picture of them all floating away. I mean, as I said, Ladybird could fly and have a look, but never mind. The others crowded anxiously around the place where she'd gone over. Wouldn't it be dreadful if the thread broke? The Ladybird said. There was a rather long silence. Are you all right, Miss Spider? Shouted the old green grasshopper. Yes, thank you, her voice answered from below. I'm coming up now. And up she came, climbing foot over foot up the silk thread, and at the same time tucking the thread back cleverly into her body as she climbed past it. Isn't it awful? They asked her. Is it all eaten away? Are there great holes in it everywhere? Miss Spider clambered back onto the deck, with a pleased but also a rather puzzled look in her face. You won't believe this, she said, but actually there's hardly any damage down there at all. The peach is almost untouched. There are just a few tiny pieces out of it here and there, but nothing more. You must be mistaken, James told her. Of course she's mistaken, the centipede said. I promise you I'm not, Miss Spider answered. But there were hundreds of sharks around us. They churned the water up into a froth. We saw their great mouths opening and shutting. I don't care what you saw, Miss Spider answered. They certainly didn't do much damage to the peach. Then why didn't we start sinking? The centipede asked. Perhaps we didn't start sinking, the old green grasshopper suggested. Perhaps we were all so frightened that we simply imagined it. This, in point of fact, was closer to the truth than any of them knew. A shark, you see, has an extremely long, sharp nose, and its mouth is set very awkwardly underneath its face and a long way back. This makes it more or less impossible for it to get its teeth into a vast, smooth, curving surface, such as the side of a peach. Even if the creature turns onto its back, it still can't do it, because the nose always gets in the way. If you've ever seen a small dog trying to get its teeth into an enormous ball, then you'll be able to imagine roughly how it was with the sharks and the peach. Kind of... Anyway. It must have been some kind of magic, the Ladybird said. The holes must have healed up by themselves. Oh, look, there's a ship below us, shouted James. Everybody rushed to the side of the peach and peered over. And one of them almost fell off. No, they didn't. None of them have ever seen a ship before. Ooh, looks like a big one. Yeah, it's got 3 funnels. You can even see the people on the deck. Let's wave to them. Do you think they can see us? Neither James nor any of the others knew it, but the ship that was now passing beneath them was actually the Queen Mary, sailing out of the English Channel on her way to America. And on the bridge of the Queen Mary, the astonished captain was standing with a group of his officers, all of them gaping at the great round ball hovering overhead. Give you another. Can you imagine seeing that? It's like almost an upside-down hot air balloon. Anyway. I don't like it, Captain. Oh, hang on, wait a minute. I don't like it, the captain said. Nor do I, said the first officer. Do you think it's following us? Said the second officer. I tell you, I don't like it, muttered the captain. It could be dangerous, the first officer said. That's it, cried the captain. It's a secret weapon. Holy cats, send a message to the Queen at once. The country must be warned, and give me my telescope. The first officer handed the telescope to the captain. The captain put it to his eye. There's birds everywhere, he cried. The whole sky is teeming with birds. What in the world are they doing? And wait a second. There are people on it. I can see them moving. There's do I have this darn thing focused right? It looks like a little boy in short trousers. Yes, I can distinctly see a little boy in short trousers standing up there. And there's a sort of giant ladybird. Now, wait just a minute, Captain, the first officer said. And a colossal green grasshopper. Captain, the first officer said sharply. Captain, please. And a mammoth spider. Oh dear, he's been at the whiskey again, whispered the second officer. And a simply enormous centipede, screamed the captain. Call the ship's doctor, the first officer said. Call the ship's doctor. Call the ship's doctor. Our captain is not well. A moment later, the great round ball disappeared into a cloud, and the people on the ship never saw it again. Call the ship's doctor! Call the ship's doctor! Marvelous. Chapter 24, the last one for today. But up on the peach itself, everyone was still happy and excited. Oh, I wonder where we'll finish up this time, the earthworm said. Who cares? They answered. Seagulls always go back to land sooner or later. Up and up they went, high above the highest clouds, the peach swaying gently from side to side as it floated along. Wouldn't this be a perfect time for a little music? The ladybird asked. How about it, old green grasshopper? With pleasure, dear lady, the old green grasshopper answered, bowing from the waist. Oh, hooray! He's going to play for us, they cried. And immediately the whole company sat themselves down in a circle around the old green musician, and the concert began. From the moment that the first note was struck, the audience became completely spellbound. And as for James, never had he heard such a beautiful music as this. In the garden at home on summer evenings, he'd listened many times to the sound of grasshoppers chirping in the grass, and he'd always liked the noise that they made. But this was a different kind of noise altogether. This was a real music. Chords. Why do I keep saying a real music? It's just real music. Chords, harmonies, tunes, and all the rest of it. Melodies, symphonies. Anyway. And what a wonderful instrument the old green grasshopper was playing upon. It was like a violin. Almost exactly as though he was playing upon a violin. The bow of the violin, the part that moved, was his back leg. The string of the violin, the part that made the sound, was the edge of his wing. Back leg wing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, stop it. He was only using the top of his back leg, the thigh, and he was stroking this up and down against the edge of his wing with incredible skill, sometimes slowly, sometimes fast, but always with the same easy-flowing action. It was precisely the way a clever violinist would have used his bow, and the music came pouring out and filled the whole blue sky around them with magic melodies. When the first part was finished, everyone clapped madly, and Miss Spider stood up and shouted, Bravo! Encore! Give us some more! She's Italian now. Anyway. Did you like that, James? The old green grasshopper asked, smiling at the small boy. No! Of course I loved it, James answered. It was beautiful. It was as though you had a real violin in your hands. A real violin? The old green grasshopper cried. Good heavens, I like that, my dear boy. I am a real violin. It is part of my own body. But do all grasshoppers play their music on violins, the same as you do? James asked him. No, he answered. Not all. If you want to know, I happen to be a short-horned grasshopper. I have the two short feelers coming out of my head. Can you see them? Blink. There they are. They're quite short, aren't they? That's why they call me a shorthorn. And we shorthorns are the only ones who play our music in the violin style, using a bow. My long-horned relatives, the ones who have long curly feelers coming out of their heads, they make their music simply by rubbing the edges of the two top wings together. They are not violinists, they are wing rubbers. And a rather inferior noise these wing rubbers produce too, if I may say so. It sounds more like a banjo than a fiddle. How fascinating this all is, cried James. And to think that up until now I'd never even wondered how a grasshopper made his sounds. My dear young fellow, the old green grasshopper said gently, there are a whole lot of things in this world of ours that you haven't started wondering about yet. Where, for example, do you think I keep my ears? Your ears? Why, in your head, of course. Everyone burst out laughing. You mean you don't even know that? Cried the hang on, wait, that was the centipede. You mean you don't even know that? Cried the centipede. Try again, said the old green grasshopper, smiling at James. You can't possibly keep them anywhere else. Oh, can't I? Well, I give up. Where do you keep them? Right here, the old green grasshopper said. One on each side of my tummy. It's not true! Of course it's true. What's so particular about that? You ought to see where my cousins, the crickets, and the katydids keep theirs. Katydids? Katydids. What's a katydid? Homework for you. Ha ha! Where do they keep them? In their legs. One in each front leg, just below the knee. You mean you didn't know that either? The centipede said scornfully. You're joking, James said. Nobody could possibly have ears in his legs. Why not? Because it's ridiculous, that's why. You know what Oh, hang on, this is a centipede again. You know what I think is ridiculous, the centipede said, grinning away as usual. I don't mean to be rude, but I think it's ridiculous to have ears on the side of one's head. It certainly looks ridiculous. You ought to take a peek in the mirror someday and see for yourself. Sorry. Pest, cried the earthworm. Why must you always be so rude and rambunctious to everyone? You ought to apologize to James at once. And you know what, boys and girls? We'll have to find out if he does on Tuesday. Marvellous. Chapter 25 tomorrow! To find out if the centipede apologizes to James, which obviously he won't because it's not part of his character, if we're going to do a deep character study. Now, I must be off because my wife and I are going to go embrace the hardships of shopping amid lockdown. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Can I ask you a favour to share? Don't like it. I don't care if you like it or not. As long as you enjoy yourself. I don't need a little boink. But share it. Also, I have a YouTube channel now, and they're all on YouTube, so you can go there, follow the links that I put on social stuff, and do share and subscribe and everything on YouTube, because we can't always stay on Facebook, can we, you know? Right. Have an amazing evening, and I shall see you tomorrow at 5:30. Until then, God bless you.